spring training is underway and we got games coming up. And we wonder every year what the roster battles are going to be. So we're going to talk about that. As things sit right now, I feel like the Cubs roster is pretty set, but we'll kind of get into a couple of areas to watch. Now, Jayson Stark says that the Cubs could still move a couple guys on the team, a.k.a. Nico Hoerner, Matt Shaw. I think we closed the book on that, but you're still hearing national media members say that there's a chance that it could happen. And the Cubs released their promotional schedule. Oh, I love this. We get to talk about what's coming up this year, our favorite promos. All right, let's get this thing going. All right, what do you say, guys? 40 years of being a Cubs fan and 20 years in the organization, and that's what this podcast is all about, this channel, the Cubs baseball channel. It's covering our favorite team, and it's our favorite team. Now, I know there's some Brewers fans out there. Chewy, if you're watching, I know about you, and I know there's some Cardinals fans on here, too. You guys are welcome, but this is a Cubs channel. And also joining the Cubs channel is a Hall of Famer, Jody Davis. His show's Beer Money. We're going to try to air that Saturday or Sunday. It'll be the weekend show. First episode's out. You guys better check it out. 25 years ago, Dale Earnhardt Sr. died, and he was best friends with him, one of his best buddies. He talks about Big E, the NASCAR legend, and we talk about Ryan Sandberg. We talk about spring training. We get into a lot of different stuff on the show, but it's all fun, and we appreciate you guys being a part of it. All right, let's talk about this team. Spring training roster battles to watch. Some years are better than others. You know, I can remember when the Cubs had the guys like Chris Bryant coming up, and was he going to make the team? Oh, no, he's not going to make the team because of service time and all of that stuff. So now this year's team, we're looking at it and going, okay, where could a roster battle take place? So let me just go through what we have right now. Catcher, Carson Kelly is going to be the starter, right? Miguel Amaya is going to be the backup. Moises Ballesteros could push, but it all depends on how good defensively he is. And I tell you what, if he came out and had a really good defensive spring, that could make the Cubs very comfortable with him, not just as a DH, but as a catcher. He'd have to make some strides. And then Amaya dealt with injuries last year. Hopefully he comes back and he's healthy. First base, Michael Busch with Tyler Austin backing him up, I would think. Second base, Nico Hoerner, Matt Shaw, obviously the backup. And then if Nico doesn't sign, you would expect Shaw to be the second baseman of the future. Shortstop, Dansby Swanson. Nico plays shortstop. Shaw could play some shortstop as well. Alex Bregman in third. Matt Shaw would back him up there. Played third base for the Cubs last year. Outfield set with Ian Happ in left, Pete Crow Armstrong in center, Seiya Suzuki in right. Now, this is our first, I think, roster battle. And it would be Kevin Alcantara, the Jaguar, Chas McCormick, Dylan Carlson, maybe some other guys in the mix there. Those predominantly three are, I would say, in the mix for that battle. The Cubs would love for Alcantara to win that one. That would be, in their minds, I think that would be a success because they developed them. They traded for him. They want to see him get to the big leagues and contribute. But, you know, that you go out and you sign other guys. And then I think that the Cubs could potentially add someone else to the mix for this position. We talked about Mike Tauchman. Who knows what direction the Cubs will go there. But as we sit right now, that's what it looks like. Now, the designated hitter spot is going to be Moises Ballesteros, left side, Seiya Suzuki, right side, with maybe Matt Shaw, maybe Tyler Austin in the mix there. Starting rotation, Cubs, I think, are pretty set in that area unless they add something, and we thought they might get Zach Gallen, but Shota Imanaga, Cade Horton, Matthew Boyd, Edward Cabrera, Jameson Taillon, that's your five. If they go with a five-man rotation, Justin Steele should be back in May, maybe June. You know, I don't think they're going to push him too hard. But then you got Colin Ray and Javier Assad, two guys that are perfect for the swingman spot. And I think that the Cubs really like that. Now, the bullpen, Phil Maton, you got Hunter Harvey, Hobie Milner, Jacob Webb, Caleb Thielbar, and Daniel Palencia. And Thielbar and Palencia, the only 2 holdovers from last year. The Cubs lost a lot, but they went out and got those 4 guys to go with Thielbar and Palencia. And I think those guys are set with Ben Brown, Luke Little, Porter Hodge, and then obviously Colin Ray being a swingman, someone that could help out, put aside in that same mix, right? So then you say, okay, well, what's the other thing? Well, who's going to start opening day? And that I think that spring training could determine that. Now we know that Palencia is going to be the closer because Craig Counsell already said that. But there's not a lot of intrigue with this roster unless the Cubs decided to trade one of their 2 commodities that you keep hearing people talk about. Now, I've said this already, and I'm going to say it again because some of you guys are going to get confused. Mick Gillespie is not saying that the Cubs are trading Matt Shaw or Nico Hoerner. Jayson Stark of The Athletic is saying that there's still some rumblings out there that the Cubs could make a trade for these guys, and that's why we're talking about it. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the Cubs look at this roster, and they probably feel pretty comfortable unless they got something in return that was so good that they feel like they could go with Shaw at second base and then, obviously give him an extra year to be the guy instead of waiting on Nico Hoerner to leave and not re-sign. But, we did it yesterday's show. Go back and watch it. We talked about the fact that Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki are also going to be free agents at the end of the year. They haven't been talked to about an extension by the Cubs. I think the Cubs would love to do a deal with Nico Hoerner, but, he's going to go out and check the open market pending that baseball plays next year. And, when you see the Players Association, Tony Clark, resign, you're hearing rumblings that they have put together a war chest, the players thinking that the owners are going to try to go for a salary cap so they can get paid through a strike. Next year is not looking very good. And then the Dodgers go out and spend, billions of dollars on the roster. And so for the sanity of the game, there has to be some kind of rules or it's going to look like college football. But we'll see what happens there as well. Now, this is fun stuff, okay? The Cubs released their promotional schedule. And I know some of the guys that are behind the Cubs promotional schedule, Big Jim over there and the guys that work with him and the ladies that work with him, they do a great job, man. This is one of the best parts about being a fan, right? Is when you get this and you get to go through and look at what you want. Now, I'm a bobblehead collector, and I love Kerry Wood. So if you give me a Kerry Wood May 2nd Cubs bobblehead doll, I'm all about that. That's on May the 2nd. A Cade Horton T-shirt. I had a T-shirt that looked just like this with Mark Grace. It was black, but it had all these Mark Graces on it, just like that Cade Horton. I didn't get it as a giveaway. I bought it at the store as a kid, but I think that's super cool. You got to love the sunglasses. How many Star Wars fans out there are going to want to get the Groku? Looks like Yoda, but it's Groku. He's the star of his own show on Disney Plus. He's a Jedi in training. Pretty cool bobblehead doll. Puerto Rican heritage looks like a pretty cool one as well. I love the throwbacks. Look at this 1910 Cubs replica. That's going to be great. First 5,000 fans brought to you by Budweiser. Hey, that's for us, 21 and over. Still some cool stuff. More jersey giveaways. There's a Japanese heritage jersey, and with a couple of guys from Japan on the team. Really cool with Seiya Suzuki and Shota Imanaga. I may have to get this right here. August the 2nd against the Yankees, the Wrigley Field marquee nightlight. Now, every kid needs to have that in the room. You got to love the 80s throwback jersey. I have one of those with Ryan's number on it, Rhino. And then look at this. I don't want to criticize too much. Now, I do want the Harry Carey bobblehead doll. It just doesn't look like Harry Carey. Looks more like somebody else, like Mike Ditka. But I like it. It's hey, look, never forget about Harry Carey. Oh, Sammy, slamming Sammy's got a bobblehead back. So now you know he's made up with the front office. He's back in the mix, and now he's got a bobblehead doll. I'd love to have one of those as well. Sammy was always one of my favorite players when I was a kid. And that's a look at some of your promotional schedule items. Let me know what you guys think. What do you want? What's the best promotional item that you ever got? I know as a kid, like you'd stand in line Now I collect bobblehead dolls. I got some really cool ones. I don't have to stand in line as much anymore to get them, but I still collect them. I've got a whole cabinet of bobblehead dolls. But my satchel page, I got a satchel page in there. I've got a whole Cubs wing, some Rhinos and Andre Dawsons and Rick Sutcliffe, I love Rick. Who's your favorite? What's your favorite giveaway that you've ever gotten? That nightlight would be perfect in my studio. Anyway, thank you guys. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Tell me what you think about the show, and we'll do it again tomorrow. I'm on the road, but it's not stopping us now. We're on a roll here. And if something breaks, look for us live. See ya.